As you can see, Uncle, people were eagerly jumping onto my sword. Maybe because I was the youngest rat, or I just looked the least threatening. Whatever the reason, death was a constant presence, following me every step, ahead of me, surrounding me, and always in my hand. I often thought about Kaer Morhen, especially at night, the home I wanted to return to with all my heart, but I was scared. I'd lost so much on Thanedd, Uncle, or so I believed back then, that I felt powerless. I didn't want to forfeit what little I had left and end up all alone. But I could hope. I suspected you might still be there. I dreamed of returning to the stronghold and seeing your warm smile upon my arrival. I charted maps and trails in my mind, wishing to make it so. But you know how it is. In times of war, loneliness on the road means a swift and brutal death, and I didn't want to die. So I clung to my colourful gang, hid within their ranks like a real rat, just went through the motions to get by. Until the night we attacked the village of New Forge. We snuck in with a single purpose, to set fire to the mayor's house, burn it to the ground. You see, he was the fool who gave our companion to the mercenaries, the one from the tavern, and we needed people to know that punishment for such an offence was inevitable. The penalty? Well, death, of course. But you must understand, Uncle, it wasn't all villainy. The rat's reputation was just as good as bad, for we, the children of contempt, shared most of our spoils. We distributed cattle, grain, and cloths from the Nilfgaardians to the villages. We helped people. We paid handfuls of gold and silver to tailors and craftsmen for what we cherished above all else. Weapons, clothing, and ornaments, and in return for our generosity, they fed us, they hosted us, or hid us. And even when smitten to a bloody pulp, they didn't reveal our hideouts. They were loyal. Eventually, the prefects placed a hefty rewards on our heads. Those with more greed than sense started to go fishing for Nilfgaardian gold, just like the mayor of New Forge, who was blinded by his lust for coin, sealing his fate and condemning his own village to ruin in the process. But what happened that night, amid the flames and chaos, snapped me back to reality, made me realise what was truly important, and convinced me that I had to leave the rats as soon as possible, if I could. When we handed out gold, we were loud and flamboyant. We made a real show of it. But when we attacked, we did so like rats, or rather, like foxes. Quiet, treacherous, cunning. That night, the first sound to break the silence was the crackle of flames. Then it all got so loud. The screams of people fleeing the fire, shouting and wailing. Our mounts, accustomed to such noises, barely reacted to the commotion. The first survivors ran out of the smoking hut. Servants, by the look of their garb. We unsheathed our blades. Whoever the fire couldn't fry, we were to finish off with our own hands. And suddenly a ruckus broke out at the back of the house. Riders spilled from a hidden stable. Among them was the mayor, wearing nothing but his pants, his fat, naked belly bouncing as he rode. Since the servants didn't really matter to us, we chased down our main target, along with his kin. There were many of them. The mayor apparently lived with his entire family, even his fifth cousin of the distaff side, no doubt. Each rat had more than enough targets. I had two. One on a big, strong gelding, the other on a slender filly. The larger rider sat firmly in the saddle, the smaller one could barely hold onto the mount. I galloped after them, swallowing acrid air. They were within arm's reach when the wind blew their hoods down. They glanced at me, their flowing hair red in the glow of the fire. Smoke wafted from the flames and I choked, coughed wildly until tears welled up in my eyes. I wiped them away to get a better look. I wasn't sure if I'd just imagined it, or if it was a trick of the light, because the bigger one, Uncle, he looked just like you. And the smaller one was around my age. He was a kid, really. I blocked their path, swinging my sword. The older one took up the fight, and although he looked like you, he definitely didn't have your fencing skills. I bested him quickly with little effort. I threw him from the saddle, pushed him to the ground, and then instinctively asked, "Who are you?" As if it mattered. The man began spewing out words chaotically, writhing like an eagle owl caught in a net. The kid clumsily slipped off his horse and clung to his chaperone, even though the old man told him to run away. The little snot didn't want to leave his guardian. Then it hit me. They were mentor and student, just like me and you. The boy had to be the mayor's child, had the same chubby face, but his look, his expression, reminded me of me. Stubbornness, fear, pain. It was all painted across his young face. It mirrored my own from a time not so long ago, because that night I had a different face. The face of a hunter, just like those who chased me long ago. But now I was the pursuer. I hurt, stole, I killed. The sword fell from my numb fingers. My lips barely moved as I spoke the words. Go away, run. Fuck off already! The elder asked no questions and didn't attempt to make sense of my sudden change of heart. He quickly grabbed the kid's hand and stuffed him into the saddle. Immediately after that, he jumped on his mount and urged both horses to a trot. Motionless, I watched as they galloped away. Behind me came the tortured howls of the boy's family. So, I decided to leave. The next night I collected what few belongings I had and I slipped out of the camp. I might die a lonely death on the road, but I had to take that chance. I wanted to return to Kaer Morhen to find you, if not Geralt or Yennefer. The leader of the gang stuck in my way. Gisela. He said he knew what I did, that I let the kid go free, and he didn't even blame me for that, but the kid's mentor, he should have died. No adult should be spared, otherwise rumours will spread that the rats can be crossed, and afterwards they will just smack you bottom and send you on your merry way. No, the punishment must be more severe. All traitors must pay with their blood. That was the code, and the reason Gisela stood before me sword raised. But I wasn't a traitor. Not yet, at least. The threat flashed in his eyes. Return to the camp, or betray us. Live or die, what's it to be? Because if I didn't retreat, a rat would die that night. That was just the way of it. And if there was even the slightest chance it would be me, I would have raised my sword, took up the fight. But he would lose for sure, Uncle. I was far more skilled. And I couldn't use my magic because back then I thought I'd lost it for good. I couldn't simply jump behind his back and disappear into the night without a trace. No, I had to make a choice. Kill a rat, or stay as one. You see, Uncle, Gisela had always treated me well. He never tried to hurt or take advantage of me. He shared his spoils and he supported us. Took care of our ragtag band of outcasts. The rest of the world could burn to cinders for all he cared, but not us. Not his rats. I didn't raise my sword. I feigned a laugh, an artificial peacemaker. Told him to stop being so dramatic. Can't a girl go for a midnight stroll? Was that not allowed? Gisela smiled crookedly, then invited himself along on my improvised walk. He never mentioned the kid and his mentor after that, though I assured him I'd kill the old man the first chance I got. Fortunately, I never got the chance, even though I spent many more moons in the rat's company. Weeks passed, months, more banditry and bloodshed, until the day came where I finally left them. That was the day the rats all died, Uncle, the whole Hansa. Even when I chose not to kill, death followed me every step of the way. They were slaughtered by the lion from my vision, Leo Bonhart, a bounty hunter, a hired killer who took pleasure in doling out pain, who had his eye on me above all others. He was the scariest man I'd ever met in my life. He turned my band, my little foxes, into trophies, and I need a short break, Uncle. How about another drink, eh? Last one, I promise. I killed him, Uncle. Bonhart, I mean. Finally, after so much time had passed, after enduring pain, loss and humiliation, and after running so far, to other worlds even, other times. And it seems like I would never stop. Death behind me, in front of me, and always in my hand. But you can't outrun destiny. Not for long. Fighting that son of a bitch, it was quite something, Uncle. If you saw how I dealt with him, you would be so proud of me. But that is a story for another time. The fire is dying, my cup is empty, yours quite full, and I would like to tell you about the final lesson you gave me. Someday, you have to stop running away, even if your loved ones shout the opposite. My grandmother, Geralt, Yen, you all told me to run away, so I ran away. I ran from Sintra and Broccolon, from Thamed and Tirnalia. I ran from hunters and assassins, elves, humans, blacks and reds. I didn't want to endanger my loved ones, so I escaped to other worlds. I thought you'd all finally be safe if I left you alone. But you still search for me relentlessly. Because that's how love works. Because when you love someone, you tell them to flee, while you gladly face the danger alone, knowing they're safe. But it was my fight as well, Uncle, not just yours. In my darkest moments, it was the memory of your care that helped me keep my humanity. But there is so much darkness in this world. You could have kept me from it. It never worked out that way. Evil will always catch up with you. Death will eventually overtake you, surround you, until you face it, together with your loved ones, and for your loved ones. It took me a long time to comprehend, and so much blood had to flow before I did. Your blood too, Uncle. I had to lose you to understand. Because that's when I finally decided to stop running. A year ago. When you died. When I was a child, a little witcher in a ruined castle full of rats and scary echoes, you said you would not live forever. That you would soon rest in a shallow grave, but no one really believed you. No one took it to heart. You were eternal to us, indestructible, taught us all so much, and that's why I'm here, on the anniversary of your death, paying you tribute by these fading embers in the shadow of the ruins of your beloved keep. Because even though you are not here in body, you will always be here in spirit, living on through the wisdom you shared and the love you gave. Eternal after all, farewell Vesemir, the last master of Kemor, my mentor. Goodbye, old friend. I will never stop missing you. Oh. Ah. Wow.